lot of Town Hall 11 bases out there that have not adjusted to this lightning meta, and I'm going to show you how to fully take advantage of that. So when looking at this army, the main thing I want to point out is the difference in spells and how you know what spells to bring, okay? So in 2 of these replays, we're going to be taking out the Eagle Artillery. Now, if you want to take out the Eagle Artillery, just bring 7 of your own level 8 lightning spells along with an Earthquake, and that should be good. But if you want to take out the Clan Castle, and you're not planning on taking out the artillery with your lightnings, then I recommend bringing only 4 of your own and 2 max level 9 lightnings in the CC. This will save you a spell space, which can be very valuable. As far as the rest of these troops and spells go, you're going to be using freeze spells and haste spells to support your loons. Now, I put an Ice Golem there because the Ice Golem is there to tank for your heroes to help them get a bunch of extra value. Now, if you want to use a Golem or maybe even a couple Giants instead to tank for them, then that will definitely be acceptable. In one of these replays, I use a jump to help my heroes. You just have to tailor it to the army and where you can get the most value out of your heroes, which is a really important aspect of this attack. Now, I didn't put the funneling troops that you would use for your heroes either. In this video, you'll see things like sneaky goblins, baby dragons, and wizards used to help my heroes get into the base, but that's something you're going to have to determine on your own. So all of the replays you're going to see in this video have something in common, and they're all going to be using one of these methods to kill the queen. We're going to be using lightning, since the queen is close enough to the clan castle for us to kill her with our lightnings. But I do also want to acknowledge that there are 2 other ways to kill the queen in this attack. One is with your suicide heroes, and the other is with your slammer. You can just use your slammer to target the queen and put an Inferno Dragon or Dragon inside the slammer. Now bear with me now, the last thing I want to talk about before we get into these replays is the phases, okay? You're going to be using your lightning spell in this particular video on these bases. They all have the CC in the middle of the base with a lot of nearby value, so you can use the lightning spell to take out that CC and any other value that's close to it. Now you're going to leave a little hole in the middle of the base, which is going to help with your pathing, which is where the second step comes in. You're going to use your heroes to take out any additional value. I like to target multi-infernos, and in doing so, you need to reach the hole made in the base so that you can cut off the ring of defenses that was left over by the lightning. So now, by the time you reach the 3rd step, you should have an arc-shaped row of defenses to attack, and this should be easy to take out using your Laloon along with your Slammer and your Warden with freeze and haste spells for support. But usually by the time you get to the 3rd step, you already know whether you're going to 3-star, okay? The first 2 steps is where you really want to rack up as much value as possible and set up the shape of the base remaining. For the first replay here, we're going to be focusing on this base, okay? Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to take out the CC. And I have a choice about whether I want to take out the artillery or take out the Archer Queen, okay? So, if you can take out the Archer Queen with either lightnings or your heroes, that's usually ideal, okay? So, I know I can take her out with lightnings, but if I want to take her out but I also do want to take out the artillery if possible, okay? So when considering whether I can take her out with my heroes, I have a double cannon, I have a bunch of awkward trash out here, and I have 3 expos, 2 on ground, that make it really awkward for me to get her down with my heroes and as little extra troops as possible. But I also notice this is a very easy area to Lalo, okay? So I decide to take her out with the lightning, especially since the expo is pretty close to the outside here, and if I take out this section out here with my heroes, which is super easy to take out with my heroes, then I can get to the artillery very quickly, okay? So the first step here, I'm just going to wait until the queen is right here in the middle. Boom, and I get her, I get an air defense, and I get an expo there. Now, let's pause right here, and we see I've used my baby dragon to take out these buildings. I've used sneaky goblins to take out these buildings. And now I'm going to be using a jump to give my heroes access to 2 wizard towers and a multi-inferno. Okay, multi-infernos are really good targets for your heroes because they don't really slow down your heroes a lot. They don't do a lot of damage to them. And they do a lot of damage to your Lalo. Okay. Plus, I have these sweepers over here, which is why I opt to use the jump spell to make sure that my heroes get in there. And all I have to do is open up this wall here, and then they can reach that, which is what's going to happen. So I'll go back to normal speed, and now that the closest buildings are right here, I send my heroes in. Okay, and I'll speed this up a little bit, but I'm just waiting for my heroes to cut off that defense there, and I activate that toilet bowl trap, which is super effective. And now I've gotten rid of the sweepers. Okay, so remember what I said, after you do your 2 steps you usually know how it's going to go. Okay, so I have this arch shaped row of defenses left over. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send loons into these, and then immediately after, I'm not going to wait for these to go down, I'm going to send my slammer into this inferno tower. Slammer is a super efficient way to take out the multi-inferno tower. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. As you can see, right away I send the hound to tank for my slammer, and then I send the slammer in here. And by now I've already taken the artillery down, and the path left over is super easy, and I still have 3 haste spells, but I don't need them. I'm holding on to them, and I just kind of wait here. And I use my warden just because I'm approaching the air defense, and now I have my slammer against all this stuff, which is a joke. And those 2 haste spells, frankly, could have been swagged easily. So now for our second replay here, I'm going to be using my lightnings to take out the CC, the queen, and the artillery. So I wait for her to go right there, and boom, I get her out. I get an air sweeper out, which is essential, and I make this little hole in the base. Okay, now unfortunately you're gonna see a mistake here, but again, after the first 2, so there's my wizards to clear those outside buildings. My king's gonna walk down this way. I cut off the king's path with the wizard, and I'm going to be using some sneaky goblins over here as well. Now I'm going to use a freeze to freeze the inferno tower, and my wall breakers to go in there. Okay, now you look here, you see the shape of the buildings that are left. Okay, and you see where my heroes are. They're going to be taking out this stuff, and then after that you have a pretty nice path down this way, which is what's going to happen here. And my heroes are easily going to take this out. Now, the fact that I zap the CC makes it so that it guarantees my heroes don't get cut short. Okay, that CC makes a huge difference. Now I'm going to start my Lalo. Okay, and I start with the slammer, because at this point this is a single inferno. Single inferno is not really a big threat to my Laloon, but it is a threat to my slammer, which is why I start with my slammer here, especially since there are 3 wizard towers on this side. Okay, but anyways, I always use my hound to tank for my slammer if I can. And unfortunately, the mistake I was talking about earlier is my Lalo is going to leave behind this Expo, which creates a little bit of a time issue. But as you can see, everything's going well here. Now, if I used my warden at the right time, then I would have saved this slammer, but the inferno locks onto it, and I'm pretty late with my warden. But at this point, all I have to do is use the haste to make up for that, and I'm able to push through the rest of these defenses pretty easily. And I'm always saving loons in case a Tesla like that pops up. But again, so if this Expo was down, it wouldn't be shooting down my cleanup troops, and my loons, right when this goes down, would start cleaning up in this area. But unfortunately they have to backtrack over there, and I end up swagging this freeze, but this was pretty close, so you do want to make sure you're careful about your pathing. Maybe I should have dropped another group of loons somewhere up here late so that it would get to that expo to prevent that issue, but still, this was a pretty easy 3-star with a lot of loons and a freeze spell left over. So a third replay just for good measure here. Now, full disclosure, this isn't a max base, but we're gonna see Tanner here use his spells in the middle to take out the queen, the CC, and the artillery. Now I have a little bit of a beef with this spell placement because he could have also gotten this sweeper, but given he's coming in around this way eventually, it doesn't really cause him any issues, okay? But anyways, he could have put the spells on that tile, not the wall, but the one to the top left of it, sort of right below the corner of this artillery, and he could have gotten this as well. But again, it doesn't really get in the way, and he just waits till his queen is where he wants her, right? Where he can zap both of these, and he takes her out along with the artillery and CC. Anytime you can do this, it's really a good way to start a Zap Lalo. Okay, so now you see this area where there's the multi-inferno and 2 wizard towers. Again, that's a great way to start a Laloon by using your heroes to take that area out. Okay, now he goes over here. Now I don't know if you noticed, but the gold mine is right next to the archer tower, which means if you send loons from this direction like he did, he could have taken both of these out with just a couple of loons. Okay, so it's important to look at your attacks after you do them, whether you fail or not, just to see what you could have done to make it a little more efficient. And what's going to happen is the king's going to walk here. He uses a super wall breaker, which means he doesn't have to use a freeze on that. And then he drops his queen here. Now, this isn't how I would have done it. I would have liked to have a ice golem here, but the queen still gets a lot of value because there's no point defenses in this area. It's all splash damages, which isn't really a threat to the queen, especially since the CC is already down. But anyways, she's already taken down 1 multi-inferno, she's taken down the wizard tower, and her ring is pretty much set already. And as you can see, it's just a beautiful path, right? This is just gorgeous, right? For a Laloon, this is a beautiful path. The only issue is this sweeper. But eventually she is going to circle around OP queen style and take that sweeper out, which just makes this even more comfortable than it already was. Okay, so now he's got all his groups together, his loons together, and he doesn't really need a lot of loon deployments because the path is so thin. And he has an extra hound here, which is fine. I usually like to use 2, but it works in this case because the pathing is perfect. And he's using his freeze, which is one of the most effective ways to protect your Laloon from those multi-inferno towers. And he just keeps using his freezes to help protect his loons. And by now, it's pretty much GG. But if I leave you with anything, remember to focus on your planning. This is not a simple spammy attack where you can just drop your troops and get the 3-star at any base. You have to make a plan. Make sure you get good value for your lightnings, and then you have to make sure you get good lightning value for your heroes as well, and that's going to depend on the value that you got for your lightnings. Okay, so map out your plan, make sure you send your heroes into the right place, make sure your funnel for your heroes is right, and then by the time you get to your 3rd step, assuming you have good Laloon fundamentals, then you should be good to go. So again, I hope this was helpful, and only if it was helpful, go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to see more guides like this, then subscribe and hit the bell icon.